Hey there, what is up? My name is Rebecca Howard and I'm an SEO specialist at Ironistic. I'm super pumped to go over some SEO tips and tricks to improve your organic website traffic today. So, welcome to SEO 101 with Ironistic. Before we get started, I want to quickly go over your agenda. We're going to go through some introductions, talk about what the heck SEO is, why it's important, and then go through some best practices and SEO planning. So a quick introduction to Ironistic. We are a full-service web design, development, and integrated marketing agency based out of Alexandria, Virginia, but we have clients and employees all over the United States. I myself work out of Maryland. So a little bit more about me. I graduated with my Bachelor's of Administration in Business Administration from Queen's University in 2015. And since then, I've been inside the marketing world, working with multiple clients, different industries. And then over the past 2 years, I've really gone headfirst in SEO. And then some personal things about me. I love running. I love doing pretty much anything outside. And a fun fact, I completed a cross-country run in 2017 called the 4K for Cancer, and that was pretty much the best moment of my life. I wish I could go back. Super awesome. But enough about me. Let's talk SEO. So what the heck is SEO? SEO is the practice of increasing both the quality and quantity of your website traffic, as well as your overall exposure to your brand through organic search results. So organic means not paid. This is free traffic to your website. And on the flip side, you have paid ads, PPC, so that's paid traffic to your site. You do that through Google Ads. And I can talk a little bit more about that later. But some more about SEO. It's more than just keywords. Keyword research is very important, yes, but it's also about understanding your audience's search intent. You want to put yourself in your user's shoes to really understand what it is they're searching for and how your website can help them with that. This is super important too when it comes to content generation. Thinking about what is trending in your user's world, if you can contribute to that in any way. And then a couple other things that impact your rankings as well. You can do all the technical SEO and keyword research in the world, but if your authority in your industry is low, if you're not very trustworthy, if you don't have a great reputation, like those all can impact your rankings as well. So here's a snapshot of a search engine results page. As you see here, this is the search query. And this is what your user is typing in. So this is where it's really important to get in their shoes, really get in their head. What are they searching for? How can I show up first when they enter in this search query? This is a paid ad. So this is not organic. This is PPC, Google Ads. Google Ads can be very important for SEO. Google doesn't really come out and say it, but if you do pay for ads with Google Ads, it also positively impacts your organic rankings as well. This is a business listing, so Google My Business, and I'll jump more into that later. And then down here is your organic search results. So this is the fruit of your SEO labor. You want to try to get on as high up on page 1 as you can so that you're visible to your user. And before I dive into some best practices, I want to touch on COVID-19's impact on search because this is relevant and this is what we're living through today. Just a couple quick things. A decrease in traffic is not cause for alarm. A lot of clients we've seen and then just other businesses in general have seen a decrease in their traffic because of COVID-19. So during this time, it's not really a huge cause for alarm. I wouldn't be too concerned right now. And then the amount of searches around topics like remote work, video conferencing, the COVID exit phase, those have all gone up exponentially in the past 2 months and will continue to go up. Updating your Google My Business is super important, and I'll talk about that some more later. And then focusing on SEO now will set you up for success once your search behavior starts to normalize. We're in a really weird phase right now, but once things, start to ramp back up online, start to ramp back up for businesses, it's going to be really important for you to make sure your website is optimized for your users. All right, so why is SEO important? SEO is super important for two big things: brand awareness and lead generation. The biggest thing I wanted to note here, 72% of consumers who did a local search visited a store within 5 miles. This is where it's super important to make sure your local listings, local SEO, all optimized and done properly. And the more quality organic traffic your site receives, the more business you'll see. The more leads you'll get, the more your brand will be talked about. SEO really impacts these two big chunks here, brand awareness and lead gen. Now I want to jump into SEO best practices. Number one, good content. Content is king, and I'll talk about that more in the next slide. And number two, track everything. This is with Google Analytics. So more on content. Content is the reason search began in the first place. Content is so important, especially for small businesses. And content is more than just blogging. Yes, blogging is very important, but also like reviews on your page, frequently asked questions, webinars, social media, email, those are all considered content. And the big one here I want to talk about is reviews. So the more positive reviews you have, and especially if you have a specific page on your website highlighting all of your reviews, the more Google will trust you and the more Google will put you closer to page one if you're not there already. So talking about Google Analytics, you really want to make sure your Google Analytics is set up properly on your site so that you're analyzing accurate data. I cannot stress this enough. If your data isn't accurate, then it's going to make it harder for you to plan throughout the quarter. It's going to make it harder for you to plan campaigns, and it's just hard in general to really understand who your users are, where they're coming from, and what they're doing on your website. So this is a snapshot of an analytics dashboard we've set up for one of our clients. Very important here because this tells me that the SEO work that we're doing for them is working. So as you can see here, this is organic search. And this is organic search that have led to a session or an event on your website. So this increased by 60% over quarterly. This is very important to know because this tells me that, hey, the work that I'm doing on the site is actually working. If this were negative, I could jump into it more and be like, okay, what's not working? Is the page, like, does it have a slow load time? Like, what's going on here? That's why it's super important to have analytics set up properly. Make sure you do that first before anything else on your website. Some more SEO best practices. Organization matters. Making sure your top navigation is organized and structured well. You want the content on your site to flow. You want it to be easy for your user to go from page to page. You want to optimize page load time. Users will generally lose interest. If your site takes more than like 2 to 3 seconds to load is when they start to lose interest. So you really want to make sure that's optimized. Make sure your site's mobile friendly. Everyone's on their phone nowadays. That's why it's super important. Make sure your URLs are search engine friendly. This means short. You don't want a super long URL. You want it to be easy to understand and easy for search engines to understand as well. And you want it to kind of depict what kind of content is going to be on that page. You want to optimize your page titles and descriptions with keywords, as well as your images and include image alt text. Here's a snapshot of a blog on Ironistic site. You can see here, down here, 2020 SEO trends. This is an example of image alt text that's been optimized. And then up here, that same phrase, 2020 SEO trends, is in the URL. This is an optimized URL. It's short, simple, easy to understand, has the target keyword in it, and it outlines kind of what's going to be on the page. So let's jump into Google My Business. This is an example of a Google My Business listing. The big thing is Google My Business is free to set up, and it gives you better visibility when people are searching for you or for like a keyword that is really good for your business. So super, super important to set one of these up. You can post news articles or blogs to your Google My Business, has local office features. This isn't just for a business that has a physical storefront. You can also highlight your service areas as well in Google My Business. And then just a couple things during COVID-19. It's super important to keep your profile up to date with new and relevant info. So if you changed your business hours, you want to make sure that's highlighted. If you're a business that now offers takeout or delivery, definitely highlight that. You can even add a COVID update post to your profile so users know that everything's up to date during these times. And then another thing to note, you can highlight your business as temporarily closed, but that doesn't impact your rankings compared to like another business who may not be temporarily closed. And if your physical location's closed but you're still offering delivery takeout, you do not need to highlight your business as temporarily closed. Some more local SEO best practices. If you have multiple locations, so say you have one in Alexandria and you have one in Denver, Colorado, you want to make sure you have location-based landing pages on your website so that you can optimize each of those pages with local keywords. Remember to EAT, E-A-T. This stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. So a couple years ago, Google came out with a MEDDIC update, and this impacts websites that affect a user's physical, mental, financial, or emotional well-being. So Google really wants to make sure that they can trust you. That's really what it comes down to. They want to make sure that the user can go to your site and they're viewing relevant, honest, truthful, helpful information. This is why earlier when I was talking about reviews, and I've included that down here, include a reviews or ratings page. This tells Google that you can be trusted, that you're an expert in your field. Also include an about page that also displays your expertise and authoritativeness. These are just little things to do that can really impact your EAT. Did we mention good quality content? Content is king, content is awesome. Generate as much content as you can as long as it's relevant and unique. Make sure your name, address, and phone number are consistent online. So you want it to be consistent on your website, on Google My Business, Facebook, any other listing page you may be on. You want those items to all be the same. And then use local structured data markup. I won't dive into that too much, but I've attached a screenshot here, structured data markup helper. This basically just provides Google with more data about what's on your site. So what do you do now? You need to make a plan. So ask yourself, what's the purpose of my site? And is that clear to users and search engines? Who are my target audiences? What is their search intent? And then how is success being measured? Is it just through brand awareness or lead generation? You want to create a content calendar, images, blogs, video, or infographics based on that search intent, and then submit your sitemaps to Google Search Console and Bing. This forces a crawl on your website, and it can address like high priority or critical crawl issues that might appear. And you want to get those addressed and fixed right away. SEO is only part of a well-executed marketing strategy. There are other integrated marketing efforts that can affect your overall SEO. I talked about Google Ads, but Google Ads can be very important for SEO. It can help your website get into the #1 spot, and then click-throughs from that particular ad signal to Google that you are relevant. Regular and unique content generation, social media, email campaigns, these all can impact your overall SEO. So I know that was a lot of information, but if you have any questions at all, we do have answers. You can check out our website, ironistic.com, or you can give us a call, 703-829-0809. My name is Rebecca Howard again, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. So feel free to give us a call, and I look forward to working with you. Thanks, and have a great day.